A very warm welcome to the top three finishers of the F1 Sprint at the FIA Formula One Dutch Grand Prix. In third place, Lando Norris. In second place, Charles Leclerc. And taking his third sprint win of this 2026 campaign, our winner, George Russell. Back with a bang after the summer break, George. Very well done. You look very calm out front. Is that how it felt?
Yeah, it was a good return. I was just managing my tyres a little bit at the early stage of the race because I knew if there were going to be any overtakes, it would be in the latter phase. And we saw yesterday morning how fast Ferrari were, so I was just keeping a bit in the tank for the end. And as soon as I saw Charles get ahead of Lando, sort of picked up the pace, and the two of us pulled away. So I think it was a well-managed race.
You were on the medium tyre. Charles was on the soft. Were you surprised?
I didn't even realise.
I was the only one.
Were you really? Okay.
Were you surprised to see him on the soft, or did you consider that yourself?
I didn't know.
Did you consider the soft yourself?
No. So yeah, you learn something new even afterwards. So yeah, that's surprising to hear. So yeah, obviously gives us a bit of a choice into tomorrow.
Can we talk about the start? After what happened in Hungary last time out, just how nervous were you ahead of the getaway today?
No, I wasn't nervous at all because Hungary was a technical issue with the race start, and was sort of nothing really I could have done, and we put some precautions in place to avoid that happening. So yeah, I wasn't nervous at all. Felt pretty calm, pretty relaxed, and was just excited to get racing again.
So look, you seem very happy with what you've done so far. Just how much confidence does this give you going into the rest of the weekend?
Yeah, definitely confidence is higher than it was 24 hours ago, and but it's so close. Yesterday there was a 10th between the top four drivers. Kimi was very close as well. Lewis was fast throughout the session. So there's probably 6 drivers all in the fight for pole, and when it comes down to that one lap in Q3, it can kind of go any way. So that was my time yesterday. I hope I can convert again this afternoon, but it will be a tough fight.
All right, good luck with that. Well done. Thank you, George. Charles, if we could come to you now. Great P2 for you. You rolled the dice on the soft tyre. We've just discussed that. Just how crucial was that to this performance?
Well, I don't know. I don't know, to be honest. I think our pace have been quite strong yesterday in FP1 on the long runs, which we did on the medium, and we were very strong. So we knew we had a good race car. However, in qualifying we are lacking a little bit, but yeah, I was expecting to make positions at the start rather than at the end of the race with these soft tires. But yeah, was quite a good race. I think the pace was there, as we've seen yesterday in FP1, and now we've got to hopefully start a bit higher up for tomorrow in order to make our race a bit more easy.
George has just said he didn't consider the soft tyre. Was it an obvious choice for you?
Well, it wasn't, because we had Lewis and I on 2 different strategies, so surely it wasn't obvious. But I thought it was a good tire after FP1, even though I had done very few laps and I wasn't so comfortable with the medium. So yeah, I was happy with that choice.
Right, and once you were past Lando, did you think you could get George?
Well, I believed in it, but after 2-3 laps, he started to push a little bit more, and I knew it was going to be difficult. As well as I think Lando on the main straight was quite slow. He didn't have the deployment that I had, so I knew there was an opportunity there. After the first 2 laps, I saw that George had a different kind of deployment on the main straight, which meant that it was always going to be very difficult for me to get past, even if I was getting very close.
Okay, so what have you learned in the sprint that can help you for the rest of this weekend?
Well, many things. I think our balance, the way the tires are behaving. But I'm not gonna say what we've learned, but overall, I think it's good to have this sprint race after the break to get back to a little bit into the rhythm of tire management and everything. And yeah, I feel like we are ready for tomorrow's race.
Well, and with a few changes to the car, do you think you can challenge for pole later today?
I think yesterday we did. I did a really good lap, and the car felt really good as well. So I'll be surprised if we start on pole tomorrow, but I'll do everything in order to make it happen.
All right, Charles, thank you for that. Lando, if we could come to you now. Of the top three here in the room, you struggled the most. Can you just outline what the issues were for you?
Just I don't know, just don't have the pace in general, especially the slow speed corners. We struggle so much comparing to the others. So we saw that the whole weekend so far. There's nothing we can do. So it's just the car's it's very good in high speed, and it's just nowhere near good enough in slow speed. So to be able to keep up was very difficult. Can't over push in high speed during the race, and therefore it's just we can't optimize our strengths, and more of our weaknesses show, and therefore just the pace was not good enough today.
You say there's nothing you can do. I mean, let's throw it forward to Grand Prix qualifying in the race. Surely there's something you can do to improve the situation for the rest of the weekend?
No, otherwise we would have done it already. So, yeah.
Okay. Look, would you be happy to sacrifice some one-lap pace this afternoon to improve the situation tomorrow?
Is there anything you recommend? It's not like we're not doing that. You just you make the car as quick as possible. So.
Okay. Look, after your pace in Hungary last time out, are you surprised to be having these problems here in Zandvoort, which some people say has similar characteristics to the Hungaroring?
No, not at all. I think we knew in Budapest we were very good in high-speed corners, and we were pretty terrible in slow speed, but we still managed to win. Here there's a lot more of the very, very slow speed, and more of our problems show. So no, not a surprise at all. It's exactly what we expected.
Okay, well, look, good luck for the rest of the weekend. Thank you for that. Lando, let's open this to the floor now, please. Who's first? Name and publication.
Diletta Colombo, Automoto. A question for Charles. How did your soft tires feel as the race progressed?
Well, quite okay. I mean, I was on the same pace of George, and I felt relatively comfortable with the car. I think the car balance was good. As I said, I think our race pace have been strong since FP1. Not particularly on the soft, but just on medium or soft, we've been strong, and so that's positive for the rest of the weekend.
Thank you, Charles. Next.
Ronald Vording, motorsport.com. It's a question for George. On Thursday, you said you want to follow your instincts a little bit more while driving. Is that easier on a track like this, where it's less dependent on energy management anyway, or do you feel it's more based on lessons from the first half of the season that you can use everywhere, basically, going forward?
No, I don't think it's necessarily has anything to do with the energy management. I think the energy management these days is a little bit more straightforward than we were all talking about at the start of the season and pre-season. It's just when it comes to driving, just not thinking too much when I'm in the car and just trying to drive as fast as possible, really, and trusting on my instincts of what the car balance needs, how I need to adapt my driving to compensate that, and not trying to follow the data too much. The data's good to give you the indication, but then you just sort of need to go back and trust on all your years of experience to adapt to what is required.
Thank you. Next.
Graham Harris, Motorsport Monday. A question for all three of you. That rain came on the last lap. Do you think it would have been a completely different race had the rain arrived 10 minutes early?
Well, I think if it arrived 90 seconds earlier, it probably could have been a very different race. When you're approaching turn one at 320 kilometers an hour, that was the first corner to get hit, and it was pretty hard on that in-lap. So, at least for myself as the lead driver, you're going into the dark, really. The drivers behind can see if you've just locked up and gone straight off, or you've got round the corner, so you can adjust. But it would not have been a very pleasant place for myself, probably also for Charles as well, but maybe slightly nicer for Lando and Kimi.
Nothing to add.
Lando? Okay. Next, please.
Jono from the race. To George, Mercedes has had a different strategy in terms of upgrades this year. You've backloaded everything. Are you surprised, considering how more aggressive Ferrari and McLaren have been with their upgrades, that you're still able to kind of maintain advantage and aren't losing too much, apart from, it seems, in the high-speed corners?
Yeah, well, I think we do have a very strong car. We have a very strong base. We clearly had a sizable advantage at the start of this season. Only time will tell if we've made the best sort of compromise in terms of when we bring these upgrades to the car. We may be surprised and see our rivals also bring another upgrade. We don't know what they have in store. It's a real challenge with cost cap these days to find that right balance. But we have a real fight on our hands these days, and I think that's quite fun, and that's how Formula One should be. It shouldn't just be two teammates going for race wins week in, week out. Everybody should be in with a shot.
Thanks, George. Next.
Leonid Klug, Grand Premio. How different, question for all three, how different are those deployment strategies between teams, and what role can they play in the race tomorrow? Is it the way to make a real difference? Thank you.
Deployment strategies. Who'd like to go first? George is drinking. Charles, why don't we start with you?
Surely it's a big differentiator on a year like this year with these new cars, and we've seen it today. I think here in Zandvoort it's close to impossible to overtake, and I could have never made the overtake if there wasn't a different deployment strategy between teams. However, we seem to all converge to a kind of a similar place coming Sunday, so I don't expect big differences coming tomorrow. And also throughout the season, I think we've seen the first 2-3 races there were a lot of action, a bit everywhere, because I think everybody was not so sure about what was the right thing to do. Now, again, everybody seems to converge more or less in the same place.
George, anything to add?
Yeah, I think everyone's going to converge come tomorrow, and I think it will probably be a bit challenging to overtake it until you get that tyre advantage.
Lando. All right, next one, please.
Luke Smith from The Athletic. George, one for you. You said to DC in Park Fermé your car only needed a tickle in terms of setup going into the rest of the weekend. Is it fair to say this is the most comfortable you felt with the car this early in a race weekend for a little while? And if so, have you changed your approach at all in terms of approaching setup and where you kick things off?
Well, I think since Barcelona, I've sort of been in a bit of a better place, but then I had the two races in Barcelona and Austria where I was on pole, and then Silverstone, Spa, we had issues sort of outside of our control or outside of my control, and then Budapest I was maybe a bit off the pace. So the results haven't been there, but I think the underlying performance hasn't been as bad as the results have probably shown. And for whatever reason, sprint races have been a bit of a strength for me this season, which has been a bit of a surprise, because in a normal race weekend I usually tend to build up to it, and I find more come qualifying than I do on a Friday afternoon in an FP2 session, as an example. But we've had 5 sprints, and we've been on pole in 3 of them and won 3 of them. So yeah, seemed to like them.
Thank you. Any more?
Adam Cooper from question for Lando. Obviously, you're very disappointed with third. Is there some frustration that the upgrades maybe haven't brought what you were expecting, or is it not as straightforward as that?
No, they've done exactly as they should. So I'm very happy. We still managed to progress. It's just certain areas we're just nowhere near quick enough. The slow speed we've just struggled the whole weekend, and it seems clearly the weakness we have in the car at the minute. I feel if we still went back to Monaco now, we're going to be as shocking as we were. So I think we've clearly progressed a lot, and especially in medium and high speed, which is where we're quick here. Why we were so quick in Budapest, and it wasn't like we were quick everywhere in Budapest, and that's why we won. The slow speed, we were still slower than Ferrari and matching Mercedes just about. So we still have weaknesses, even though we managed to win one race. It's just the strengths really shone there. And here it's just the deficit's too big and the slow speed. So like I said, there's just nothing we can do about it now. It's just how the car is for the time being, and that's where we still have to focus as a team. We'll try and get everything out of it. I feel like I still did a good job today. Even with a P3, it's just I want to be fighting for a top spot and be fighting and going forward and catching George and putting him under pressure rather than trying to survive in every slow speed corner and fighting for my life. So I'm very happy with the team and the progress we made, and the upgrades have all worked, and they've allowed me to be P3 today. But we just need more if we want to fight for a championship, that's all.
Thank you, Lando. Any more, please?
Ronald Vording, Motorsport.com. Question to Charles. I appreciate that you don't want to go into detail about today's learnings, but you just said that overtaking is virtually impossible around here. Does that mean that there's anything you can do to maybe sacrifice something for better one-lap performance, or is it just using the strengths and hoping that the tire delta will be enough to make something happen tomorrow?
I think we often speak about how to make a car faster for race or qualifying, but I don't think it's that black and white. I think you always try to make the car as fast as possible, and if you do that, then that's positive for qualifying and the race. Then there are maybe slight fine-tuning you can do, but I wouldn't say it's a game changer, and it's not always black and white, as I said. So no, to reply, I don't think there's anything we can do at the moment to kind of fix and have a bit of a better car in qualifying. We know it's a weakness, but we just didn't find the solutions just yet.
Thank you, Charles. We'll leave it there. Very well done, guys. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I watched the post-sprint press conference with George Russell, Charles Leclerc, and Lando Norris. As always, I'm going to give my opinions about the press conference and a little recap, let's say, about the press conference. Of course, as always, I took some notes in my mobile phone, and to be much more clear with my opinions, with my thoughts, I'm going to read them from my mobile phone, starting with George Russell. And this was exactly the result Mercedes needed. Russell converted sprint pole into victory, led every lap and controlled the race from the front. One of the main things George focused on afterward was tire management. He explained that he deliberately looked after the tires during the opening part of the sprint rather than immediately trying to build a massive gap, and that decision paid off. Once the race settled down, Russell had enough performance available to respond whenever the pressure behind started increasing for Mercedes. This is also an important confidence boost after a difficult end to the first half of the season, but perhaps the more interesting conversation involved Charles Leclerc. Leclerc started third behind Lando Norris and spent much of the sprint waiting for an opportunity, and eventually it arrived late in the race. Charles managed to get past Norris and take second place. Afterwards, this discussion has really moved toward Ferrari's race pace. Friday already showed that Ferrari had serious one-lap performance. Today showed something arguably more important. They can maintain that performance across the race distance. Leclerc's ability to stay close to Norris, manage his tires, and attack late in the sprint will give Ferrari plenty of confidence heading into qualifying. Then they came Lando Norris, and Lando was clearly a little bit more frustrated starting the second. He believed that there was an opportunity to challenge George Russell for the victory, but as the race developed, McLaren started struggling more than expected. Norris specifically painted toward the slower corners, an area where the car wasn't performing strongly enough. Eventually, that allowed Leclerc to close the gap and take second away from him, but Norris wasn't something defeated. McLaren still has a serious pace, particularly through the faster sections, and the team now has valuable race data before Sunday's Grand Prix. Another major discussion involved how difficult overtaking is around Zandvoort. All the three drivers expected the same problem. Getting close in is one thing, actually following another Formula 1 car through these fast banked corners without destroying the tires is something completely different, and that's going to make qualifying incredibly important. track position tomorrow could decide everything. Final attention turned toward the championship. Russell's victory gives him another 8 points, but Kim Anton only finishing 4th means the championship leader actually extended his advantage over Lewis Hamilton. Nobody in press conferences wanted to make a dramatic championship predictions yet, but one thing is becoming increasingly obvious: Mercedes isn't alone anymore. Ferrari is coming, McLaren is still dangerous, and margins between these teams are becoming incredibly small. And of course, today we are going to have also the qualifying after a couple of hours. Of course, in our channel we are going to have also that qualifying interviews and the press conference. If you want not to miss any of these, just don't forget to like this video, to comment it, and to subscribe to the channel.